Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Well, once again, you're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show. I'm your host, Rick Rivera. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And this show is really about sharing strategies with you that you can use in order to enhance what you've already been able to accomplish when it comes to your retirement planning. Maybe some of you are 5 years away from retirement. Some of you may already be retired. Everything that I'm going to share with you on the show are things you can do that you can actually go out, implement, and enhance what you're able to do without any guesswork. So I don't have a crystal ball. We're not going to try and tell you what the next hottest stock tip is going to be. What we're going to do is we're going to give you actual strategies that will help you to reduce your taxes, actual strategies that will help you to increase returns on your investments while minimizing fees, actual strategies that will help you to pass on as much as you want to your loved ones, or maybe, you have a special needs situation the most efficient way possible. How to minimize taxes on your Social Security, your pensions, things of that nature. How to protect yourself from long-term care costs, how to maximize your income in retirement, how to maximize every nickel and dime out of Social Security. The list goes on and on. I could be here for the rest of the show just, going through the whole list. But bottom line, we are here to give you tools and strategies to help you enhance what it is that you've already been able to accomplish. And at the same time, if you have any questions about any of the topics that I talk about on the show, please feel free to give us a call, toll free, 800-700-1980. Again, our toll-free number is 800-700-1980. You can also reach us on the web at safeguardinvestment.com. Again, our website address is safeguardinvestment.com. And you are listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show. And once again, I am your host, Rick Rivera. Now, with that being said, today what I want to talk about is the importance of getting your retirement, your estate planning, your investment planning reviewed on a periodic basis. The importance of getting a second opinion on these things, because you can't go to the first opinion guy to get a second opinion. And I'm going to give you a scenario of what I've seen in our practice so you have a better idea as to what I'm talking about and why it's so important to get things reviewed. So let me start off by giving you an example. I had a person come into me. They had a variable annuity that they had for many years, well over 10 years. Now, the example I'm sharing with you folks, keep in mind, you may not have a variable annuity, you may not know what a variable annuity is or whatever, but the example that I'm giving you may not fit your particular situation, but what it does fit is I want you to understand the theory and concept of what I'm telling you, because the theory and concept does fit your situation, whether we're talking about your investments, whether we're talking about insurance, whether we're talking about your long-term care planning, whatever the planning process is. It's just the concept that I want you to understand. So I'm just going to use this person's situation and product they had as an example so you can understand what I mean by the importance of getting a review, getting a second opinion on your investment planning, estate planning, retirement planning, and all the rest of it. So this person had a variable annuity, that they had for well over 10 years. Now, today, just a few days ago, they came in and they're like, Rick, I'm not quite sure if this product is doing what it needs to be doing for me currently. So looking at the product, the way it was set up is the product was designed as an income play for when he retired. And when we reviewed the product, he had a question about what fees he was paying, types of return and all the rest of it, because he was like, Rick, I don't think I'm getting the return that I was, promised in the product. Well, what they had told him is that regardless of what happens in the market, there was an income rider that they added to the contract that said that the income value was going to roll up at 7% per year and that his account should double in 10 years. So to make a long story short, I guess he understood it as he was either going to get market growth or 7% return on his money, which was really not the case. The rider is a completely different animal. Long story short, he had a cash value in his contract. He put in $80,000. He had a cash value in his contract showing about $105,000 over a 10-year period of time, which obviously is not doubling. And then he had an income value of $136,000. So he had put in $80,000 in the contract. So if he was guaranteed 7% and he was guaranteed that that money was supposed to double. Now, again, for income purposes, there's an income rider, and it was supposed to be worth, the income value was supposed to be worth $160,000. $80,000 doubling over 10 years, value should show $160,000. Well, here's where the dilemma comes in. Number one, the cash value, I'm going to call it touch feel money. If he needs money out of his account, that $105,000, he put in $80, 10 years later is worth $105. That's the money he can pull from. However, there is an income rider on his contract that says that the income value currently is $136,000. So if he's going to use the money for income purposes, the $136,000 is just used to determine what his monthly income is going to be, guaranteed for the rest of his life. But if he's going to take money out of the contract, the cash value is where he's actually getting the money from. So I know this all seems confusing, but again, I just want you to understand a point that I'm getting here. Well, long story short, the reason why the income value didn't double was because they were using simple interest, not compounded interest. So 7% of $80,000 was $5,600 the first year. But then the second year, he got another $5,600 on the income value, and then another. So they were using simple interest, where if the interest was being compounded, now we're not only earning interest on the principal, but we're earning interest on principal and the interest that money has earned. So now we have the compounding effect, which he misunderstood when he originally got into the contract. The other thing too is that, okay, fine, there's two different values in the contract. One is just strictly purely for income purposes, and one is for a cash value where you can, use to pull, money out. Now, the income value that he had on the contract was just based on a single payout, which means that if he takes the income out, it was solely based on his life. He didn't have the option of doing a joint payout for both him and his wife. And if, God forbid, something happens to him or vice versa, he knows that they're going to be losing a Social Security check. So the wife may need that income to offset what she's going to lose Social Security wise. So long story short, this product no longer meets his parameters. This product is not doing what he needs it to do now. So maybe 10, 12 years ago, when circumstances were different, the product was okay. But now that his circumstances have changed, his dynamics have changed, he needs a product that's going to fit his situation now. So if this would have been reviewed maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he'd be much better off today rather than waiting 10 years to get his situation reviewed. The other thing is, the money that was put into this contract was regular dollars. It was non-retirement dollars. And he was told, hey, listen, you know what? Put the money in the contract and, it's going to give you tax deferral, which is good. But keep in mind, he had to pay for that privilege. He was paying 1.25% for the privilege of tax deferral. So just to make the math simple and for you to understand, on a $100,000 contract, I'm paying $1,250 a year to the company for the privilege of tax deferral. Now, if that saves me $5,000 a year in taxes, hey, listen, I'll do that all day long. Not a problem whatsoever. But in this gentleman's case, the way his current income was structured, he was in a very low tax bracket. His effective rate was really 10% or a little less than 10%. So if the $100,000 earns 5% interest, That means his taxes are $500. But yet he's paying the company $1,250 for the privilege of tax deferral. I'd rather pay Uncle Sam the $500 and keep the difference in my pocket. And unfortunately, let's assume the contract earns no money one year. Let's say the market's bad and he doesn't make any money on the contract. Well, in that case, we shouldn't pay any taxes because we didn't earn anything. But guess what? In this particular contract, you still got to pay the $1,250 in fees for the privilege of tax deferral, even if the account didn't earn anything. So again, folks, this is why it is so important to have a second opinion. This is why it's so important to get these things reviewed on a regular basis. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to pick up where I left off, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to continue where I left off. I want to give you some other examples of what I'm talking about. Now, again, if you have any questions about any of the topics I'm talking about on this show, or maybe a topic outside of what I'm talking about on the show, feel free to give us a call, toll-free, 800-700-1980. Again, our toll-free number is 800-700-1980. I'll be right back.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
All right, and we are back. Once again, you're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show. I'm your host, Rick Rivera. We are talking about the importance, folks, of getting a review, getting a second opinion on your estate planning, retirement planning. And again, you can't go to the first opinion person to get a second opinion. That's the whole purpose of getting a second opinion. You go to the doctor, he gives you some advice, he gives you an opinion. You go to another doctor to get a second opinion, and you can't be afraid to do the same thing when it comes to your investment planning, your retirement planning. If you care to get a second opinion on your particular situation, maybe you have a question about some of the topics I'm talking about on the show. Maybe you have a question outside of what I'm talking about on the show today. Maybe it has to do with your current pensions. Maybe it has to do with the current buyout that you're getting offered. Maybe it has to do with your taxes or your investments or your legacy planning. Give me a call, toll-free, 800-700-1980. What I'll do is I'll give you two choices. I'll offer you a 15-minute strategy call if you just have a quick question, or if you want, I'll be happy to offer you 1 hour consultation, a Zoom meeting. We can do it through Zoom if you prefer. However, for the hour consultation, I can only offer that to the first 10 people that call the show right now. So if you care to take advantage of the hour consultation, give us a call right now, toll-free, 800-700-1980. Again, that toll-free number is 800-700-1980, and you can also reach us on the web at safeguardinvestment.com. Again, that website address is safeguardinvestment.com. You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show. I'm your host, Rick Rivera. So where I was leaving off was, again, I was giving you a client's example of their particular situation where, bottom line, they got a product 10 years ago. Now they're getting it reviewed 10 years later, and we find out it's not doing all the things that it's supposed to be doing for them. And it's not. Now, again, 10 years ago, it might have been the best thing since sliced bread. But what you have to realize, folks, is that over time, your situation changes. Your circumstance changes. Products even change over time. So if you don't get these things reviewed on a regular basis, sometimes you're going to find out that you're, behind the eight ball. And, like I was saying earlier with this gentleman before we took the break, he was paying $1,250 a year for the privilege of tax deferral when in reality, he was in a low tax bracket. So he was overpaying for something that he wasn't even using. So this is where a good advisor that specializes in retirement planning, that's a seasoned advisor, can sit down with you, review your situation, and just make sure, hey, we're still on track. Because all these different products out there, folks, I don't care whether it's a mutual fund, a bond, a CD, a variable annuity, a fixed annuity, whatever it is. It could be real estate, whatever the type of investment you can think of, whatever it is, exchange traded funds. All of these investments, no matter what it is you name, they all have advantages. They all have disadvantages. Some of them even have strings attached. But these are different products designed for specific situations. It's how you use these products that determine if they're an advantage for you or disadvantage. Unfortunately, with some of these advisors out there nowadays, you give them a hammer and they see everything as a nail. So what product might work perfect in one person's circumstance may be completely the wrong thing in somebody else's circumstances based upon their objectives and their goals. The other point that I want to make out to you is this. A product that might have been great for you, again, and based on the example I was giving you earlier, that might have been great for you in the past, maybe 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, may be completely the wrong thing for you now because of lifestyle changes. And what could happen in your lifestyle between the time you got the product? Maybe there was a divorce. Maybe there's a new child in the picture. Maybe there's a new grandchild in the picture. Maybe income is completely different now that you retired. Maybe your family dynamics has changed. Maybe your working dynamics have changed. And maybe you're transitioning into a different business. Maybe you were employed and now you're actually transitioning into your own business and you become self-employed. Maybe you're getting into real estate. Maybe you're starting an online business. Maybe you're doing something completely different. So the dynamics of your retirement plan might need to be changed to fit your situation. And you might need to learn, how can we maximize this? Well, you know what? When I was working and I had a job, I had a 401k and I had an employer making contributions for me. Now that I'm self-employed, now that I'm starting my own business, maybe I need to start my own 401k for my own company. Maybe the contributions aren't going to be the same anymore because now it's a new company. I have minimal employees and I have to take my employees into consideration. So maybe I'm not going to have as much to contribute. So where can I leverage? Well, if you're sitting down with a good advisor might be able to review your situation on an annual basis, review your taxes on an annual basis. And maybe you started that new business and they can sit down with you and say, hey, listen, I know, money's tight this year. You just started a new business and I'm looking at your tax return. I noticed you got a bunch of write-offs and depreciation, and you're actually going to be in a real low tax bracket. Maybe you're not even paying taxes this year. I know you can't contribute to your IRAs or your 401ks this year because money's a bit tight. But actually, this might be a perfect time for you to do a Roth conversion, or this is a perfect time to leverage this other strategy in your favor to set you up going into next year. But folks, how are you going to know this unless you sit down with a seasoned advisor that specializes in these things? Now, again, the examples I'm giving you right now might not fit your particular situation exactly, but it's the point that I'm trying to make to you. It's the point that, bottom line, whatever your situation is, you cannot be afraid to get these things reviewed. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Now, if you want a second opinion, you want to see if you can maximize Social Security. You want to see how you can maximize your pensions and squeak out every nickel out of it. Maybe you're in a situation where, you work for, the phone company, or maybe you work for the electric company. Maybe you work for Kaiser, and maybe you're being offered a buyout of one of these companies. And you're like, hey, you know what, Rick, I just want to know, a lot of things have changed and I just want to know that I'm not missing anything. What I'll do is I'll offer you a free consultation. We can do a Zoom meeting if you prefer, consultation through Zoom. Or if you just got a quick question and you want a 15-minute strategy call, call me right now, 800-700-1980. Again, the toll-free number is 800-700-1980. Offer you that 15-minute strategy call, or if you prefer, I can personally give you an hour consultation, hour of my time to review your scenario, let you know if there's anything you can do to kind of enhance your situation, if there's things that you should be at least considering. Maybe there's some things that, you've missed. we can point those things out to you. And this way, you don't have to wait 10 years or 5 years or 3 years to find out there were some strategies you could have been utilizing to enhance your situation and now you missed out. Because unfortunately, folks, we can't turn the clock back and we can't reverse time. So once again, just give us a call, toll free 800-700-1980, or you can reach us on the web at safeguardinvestment.com. Now, the other thing that I want to do too is those of you that are tuning into the show, I know many of you listen each and every week. I want to make one other offer, and the offer is this. I want to make sure that each and every week I'm covering topics that are important to you rather than a bunch of things you could care less about. So what I'm going to do this week is anyone that calls in on our toll-free number, 800-700-1980, give us a topic that you want me to cover next week on our show. If I use the topic that you suggest on next week's show, we're going to send you a $25 gift certificate to Starbucks. So again, what I'm doing is, if you're listening to the show right now, give me a call, toll-free 800-700-1980. Let me know what topic you want me to cover next week. If I use a topic that you suggest next week on the show, we're going to send you a $25 gift certificate to Starbucks just as a thank you. Because again, the sole purpose of this show is to talk about things that are important to all of you rather than a bunch of things you could care less about. And folks, I want to thank all of you for listening today. I appreciate your time. Again, if you want a second opinion, if you want a review of your situation, your retirement planning, don't hesitate to give us a call, toll-free 800-700-1980. I'll be happy to do that for you personally. We can do it over the phone, quick 15-minute phone call, or if you want, I'd be happy to schedule a consultation through Zoom with you if you prefer. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you once again for listening to the show. Look forward to talking to you next week. This is Rick Rivera, and you're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC, is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC, is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.